Hi there, friends. I'm meteorologist Robert Spetta, and this weekend we got more showers, more storms in the forecast across the entire southeast, not just the first coast, stretching from really Louisiana, Mississippi, into Alabama, but yeah, also across the Jacksonville and also in the Daytona area, as I'm showing you right here. We got some storms that could potentially cause a rain delay for the Daytona 500. In fact, breaking news, and in fact, we just were notified that the race is going to be pushed forward to 1:30 for a start time versus 2:30. From what I hear, for television broadcast and everything, still going to be aired at the same, or aired at 1:30. But the point is, there's rain coming in. There's going to be some storms as well, which obviously is not great for NASCAR out there. Also impacting people's plans, of course, throughout the entire weekend. So let's talk about this. And first off, what I want to show you is starting here on our Friday. It is Valentine's Day, and if you're going to get out and about, just remember the temperatures have cooled off quite significantly from what we were seeing on Thursday. Mercury down into the 60s with a solid northeasterly breeze at about 10 to 20 miles per hour, gusting about 30 to 40. So it is rather brisk, especially heading into the evening where the temperature is going to be into the 50s. You combine that with the wind chill, it's going to feel cool out there. Not freezing, but enough where you're going to want that sweater or heavier jacket. Great for flying a kite. I love this graphic because it gives you a good representation of I think most people have flown a kite once in their life, and we all know kind of what it feels like when you have good kite flying weather. And that's the case for the rest of our Friday here. But you look at the broader picture, of course, Miami is the spot to be, 83 degrees, 66 in Jacksonville. But there's that cooler air back towards the north, and warmer air starting to build its way in from the west ahead of our next system. This is those winds I was talking about, 10 to 20 miles per hour across the first coast. But let's look ahead. That's the big thing over the weekend, because as we go ahead into our Saturday, temperature is going to be warming up into the 80s, in fact, for a good portion of the first coast on Saturday. But then Sunday was still going to be warm through the morning, but then things are going to change up. And this is it right here. See right there on the bottom, weekend storms on the way. And specifically Sunday, as we're going to see those storms. This is by 7:30 a.m. These showers working their way in across the southeast. Look at this, by 11, starting to build in. Might even see some rain showers pop up out ahead of that, closer to Jacksonville. But it's that main line right here where you're going to see kind of that linear setup. See this right through here. That's what we call basically that gust front, these linear storms that kick on through, and just around lunchtime they're going to pass Jacksonville. And within that, the main issue is going to be straight line winds. We could be looking at some gustier conditions, maybe even potentially severe, kicking on by. It won't last long as far as those windy conditions, but the showers will. And you see even closer to Daytona Beach by 2:30, look at that, by 3, 4 o'clock, the rain kicks on through. It starts to taper off by 7, 8 o'clock. I think the official rule for NASCAR, if you're going to be attending the Daytona 500, is they have to get 50% of the race in. Could they? I think that's what they're shooting for, and that's why they have moved the race up to 1:30. So hopefully they get a good portion of it done before those showers do start to arrive. But if you're traveling there, especially leaving it, it's going to be raining. There's going to be wet roads, and it's definitely going to be messy across I-95 here. And here's another look at the timing we're anticipating here on our Sunday. Starting into the morning across southeastern Georgia, 11 to 3 o'clock, 1 to 4 o'clock closer to Jacksonville, and then 2 to 6 once you get south of Jacksonville and the St. Augustine, and of course, as I've mentioned, out towards the Daytona area. So this whole front's kind of progressing its way throughout midday across the northeastern portions of the state of Florida and southeastern Georgia. So scattered showers, thunderstorms potentially, maybe even some severe weather. I think tornadoes are less likely across the first coast, but more likely if we're off towards the west on Saturday. Saturday is going to be a severe weather setup across parts of Louisiana, extending into Mississippi and into Alabama. It's just instability. We got a lot of shear in the atmosphere, warm air working its way in from the south, and that area in orange, based on our Storm Prediction Center, that's from the very smart people out in Oklahoma. They put this out, and this is a 1 to 5 scale. or I should say a 1 to 6 scale, being that low risk being 0. And then you talk about marginal, slight, and enhanced. Now, once you start to get into those orange, enhanced, moderate, high levels, that pretty much the Storm Prediction Center has been pretty good at this. Once you get up to that orange, the enhanced level, pretty much guarantees we're probably going to see a tornado in that area in orange. So that's extending from Memphis to Jackson, and they just had some tornadoes here on Wednesday afternoon heading into the evening. So it's just that time of year we get these storms. What we call Dixie Alley actually is, you've heard of Tornado Alley, Dixie Alley being the deep south and basically where these storms tend to develop through February and into March. Now, a lot of you are watching from the First Coast, Jacksonville area, and thinking, okay, what about that? Well, how about when it gets closer to us? You see, that enhanced goes away. In fact, the slight goes away. We're still in that marginal risk, so that does mean that a good portion of the First Coast could be looking at that chance of some stronger thunderstorms and maybe even a few severe storms, as I mentioned. The main issue being straight line winds as this kicks on by. So I just want you to keep that in mind, that we could be having some of those higher winds as it pushes through. But at the very least, heavy rainfall. So, of course, if you are traveling on Sunday afternoon into the evening, just make sure you take your time on the roadways. We don't want to see any wrecks like we have. I've seen the last few days, even with this severe weather or strong thunderstorms here on our Thursday. We did have several wrecks here on the First Coast. So, yeah, that is something we want to watch out for is as these lines kick on through. By Sunday night, though, things are going to start to dry out. And we're going to actually have a pretty decent cool down with temperatures back into the 30s by Monday morning. So, with that said, we have a weather impact alert that is in place here across the First Coast. Sunday, late morning through early afternoon. Widespread rain, a few strong storms, a few could even become severe. So make sure you drive carefully, carefully have those indoor backup plans as well. And just some things, have a way to get weather alerts too. That's always smart. The First Coast News app, where a lot of you may be watching this current live stream, does have notifications in case you do have some severe thunderstorm, or I don't expect it, but tornado warnings as well. They get pushed straight to your phone so you can be notified here for any chance of severe weather. So once again, let's go back to the big event of the weekend. I know there's a lot going on out there, but the big event is the Daytona 500, where thousands of people are going to be heading to Daytona Beach for the start of the race. And at 1:30 p.m., the race is expected to start now versus 2:30 when it originally was slated for. We're going to be looking at some windy conditions out there. We've got some prefrontal showers, but then that cold front's going to be arriving here by 3-4 o'clock. So hopefully they get a good portion of the race done before this. Maybe it's finished before those showers do arrive, but there is going to be that chance of some thunderstorms. But at the very least, rain, which naturally does have impacts on the race. You might be thinking, this is interesting. You might be thinking, it feels like we've had plenty of rain delays here recently for the Daytona 500 if you're a NASCAR fan. In fact, since the year 2008, out of 24 races, or 33% of them, were delayed. You have to go all the way back to the 60s prior to the year 2000, by the way, for rain delays. I think 65 was the first one. The first race was in 1959. And since 2020, 3 out of 5, or 60% of the races have been delayed. And if we see a delay here on Sunday, it would be 4 out of 6. Which is not a good track record, no pun intended on that, by the way, that have been delayed. So 3 times, in fact, since 2012 being the first time on record, I say on record, since 1959, since the race started, that the race actually had to be pushed to Monday. Again, happened in 2020 and also in 2024, so just last year. So the point is, it has happened quite often, in fact, more than I'm sure race officials want over the course of the past 20 years here. Specifically, though, I do want to point out 2014, so 11 years ago, the race was delayed 6 hours due to severe weather, and specifically a tornado warning was issued over the track that forced fans to have to evacuate the stands. A lot of people took shelter in RVs. They the grandstands are absolutely massive, so there's plenty of places to go. But they had to evacuate the stands for several hours, 6 hours in total, after the storms moved on through. And then they of course, had to dry out the track after that. I think Dale Earnhardt Jr. ended up winning the race that year, and they finished late into the night because, they had storms that blew on through, and temperatures also dropped quite significantly after that front. And I point this out too because this weather setup is going to be not exactly like that, but it was associated with a cold front. So out ahead of this, in the morning for our race here on Sunday, it's going to be warmer in the morning. Temperatures are going to be up there into the 80s, maybe the high 70s. But after the front moves on by, it's going to drop quickly into the 60s, or maybe even the 50s by late night out here. So there's going to be a significant temperature drop. It'll be a lot fresher, but if the race is delayed and then they have to resume it after the storms move on through, which there's a lot of ifs here, I think they're trying to avoid that if at all costs. That's why the race has been moved up to 1:30. But if it does have to do that, you will notice. So if you're going to head out to Daytona, bring a sweater with you. You won't need it in the morning, but maybe by the evening you're going to go, whew, it got a bit brisk. Actually, by the way, recent weather delays at Daytona, too. This is another interesting factor. In 2010, there was that 40-minute delay. 2012, it had to be delayed to Monday. 2014, a tornado warning causing that 6-hour delay. Then again in 2020. 21, there was a 5-hour delay. In 2024, it also had to be delayed to Monday. So deja vu, I'm sure a lot of people are thinking here. It almost feels like, 4 out of 6 since 2020 means that if you're going to go to Daytona, you have a higher chance, 4 out of 6 if we get it delayed tomorrow, I should say, you have a higher chance of it being delayed versus having good weather here in the last 5 years. So just wow. And it is rather interesting considering the fact that February is historically one of the drier months of the year in the state of Florida. So it's not just that we're seeing more rain, it's just incredibly bad luck when the rain falls on what specific days they fall. And once again, we're going to be looking at those showers here. I am going to try to pull up our feed real quick and see if we have any questions coming through. If you do have any questions. Are we streaming this on some of our social media platforms there, Nick? Okay, so I'm just going to pull up just to see if we do have any questions coming through. If anybody is specifically asking about, Daytona 500 or your weekend plans or anything like that here on the First Coast. We have some people posting about nothing at all related to weather or even sports. So I can't really respond to any of them because I'm a meteorologist and I can't. Yeah, come on, guys. If anybody else has any questions or anything like that, specifically about what you can expect over the weekend, shoot me a message here in our comment section. And if we don't get any in the next few minutes, we probably wrap up this live stream. But once again, let's go through and just talk about, these storms here on our Sunday. Because today, as I mentioned, you got that northeasterly wind continuing to set up. Coming on shore, you got some rip currents out near the coast. If you're going to be heading out to the beach, it is definitely going to be a bit messy. In fact, let me pull up our beach cam really quick here. I have it right. I do have that. Let me see. I do have a beach cam. We kind of see some of that surf out near the coast here because it is choppy, almost misleading because the weather, you got blue skies, but the waves are definitely kicking up there along our area beaches. You can see it right there. You got the red flags flying, some dangerous surf. There is that rip current statement in place. And right along the immediate coast, we do have those winds, as I mentioned, gusting upwards of 30 to 40 miles per hour, 10 to 20 miles per hour, 23 actually, and in Jacksonville, Mayport's at 22 sustained. So some strong onshore winds right now. But the big topic, of course, is looking ahead as we go ahead into Sunday with that front coming in. And let's take a look at our Futurecast one more time. They got that linear setup. Could have some of the straight line winds right around lunchtime into the Jacksonville areas. That pushes on through 3, 4 o'clock. You have another round of some showers. May even get some thunderstorms mixed in there too. So outdoor plans Sunday morning, okay. I wouldn't go boating because we're going to have a strong south wind, so there's going to be some good chop there. But by the afternoon, it's going to get messy, and by the evening, we're going to have that pretty decent little cool down on the back side of this. So that's why we do have that weather impact alert in place, because people, I'm sure, are going to be wanting to get out and enjoy their Sunday here, but it's going to be rather messy. Not to mention anybody traveling, heading anywhere along I-10, down I-95, and that, of course, once again, does include for the Daytona 500 here. We're expecting some scattered showers and thunderstorms through your afternoon. So, key thing, stay weather aware. Have the First Coast News app handy so you can, get those notifications in case you do have that severe weather there. But also myself and meteorologist Lee Southwick will be here on Sunday. I'll be here for Good Morning Jacksonville. I wake up every Sunday morning bright and early. So the producer behind the scene right now, actually, he'll be here with us too on Sundays. So spare thought for us as we're going to be tracking these storms here, and hopefully people are staying safe out and about. Before I let go, I do have Cody just asked, what time is the rain expected for the Daytona 500? Cody Perez, thank you very much for chiming in. And I'll go through this. I just showed it a moment ago. Nick, if you don't mind throwing up the graphics one more time here on the screen, since we did get a question here on our social media. We got this front kicking on through. Here's 12 o'clock, all right? Now, this is at about 3 o'clock, and it's about 3:30, 4 o'clock for the Daytona area that I do anticipate those showers to kick on by. Now, we could get a couple prefrontal showers that might even linger a little bit earlier than that, pushing on through, and then the rain is almost going to stick around here until about 7, 8 o'clock for the Daytona area. So about 3 to 8 is when we anticipate those showers to start to push in. It could go back and forth a little bit, but going back to what we were originally mentioning, this is why the race, if you haven't heard Cody or anybody else is planning on watching the race or heading out there, the race has been moved up to 1:30 p.m. From 2:30 for the original start time, and that is because the race officials, there are meteorologists, actually, they have a team out there who travel with NASCAR. They're notifying them and they're telling them so they can make the best decisions here. That they are expecting these showers. And I think it's 50% of the race needs to be completed if they do want to call it, versus postponing the race till 9, 10 o'clock at night or having to push it over towards Monday. So there's a lot of moving parts here, but I think they're making the best decisions possible by moving that race up to 1:30. So if you plan on traveling out there to Daytona, and let's say you planned on arriving at 2, I don't know why you would do that. Traffic will be a hot mess. But let's say you did plan on arriving at 2, the race would have already been started. It originally was supposed to go at 2:30. Now it's been moved up to 1:30 due to those rain showers moving in by 3 o'clock with some thunderstorms as well mixed in there between 3 and 4. And then lingering rainfall all the way out until like 7, 8 o'clock. So 2014, there was a 6-hour delay. Hopefully we don't see that again. And once again, and if you're just joining the stream, I'll recap some of the little facts here I had for you. This is just so interesting. Since 2008 out of 24, or 33% of the races have been delayed. Since 2023, out of 5 or 60% have been delayed. And if we get a rain delay, of course, on Sunday, it'll be 4 out of 6. So majority of the races being delayed here, and 3 times since 2012, we've seen them push back towards Mondays. So. Cody said they have family out there. If they delay it, will they start later? Like I just mentioned, they're hopefully going to try to start it earlier. So 1:30 they're going to start. And given what I'm seeing, we got a front moving on through, and what they've done in the past, hopefully it's the rain kind of comes through quick. And if the rain does wrap up by 7, 8 o'clock, maybe they will try again to get it going later at night. But there's also, and you can see right here, 3 times since 2012, they pushed it back to Monday. So there is a precedent with these cold fronts moving on through and the potential of them actually pushing this over towards Monday. I'm not a sportscaster, nor am I the most intelligent person with NASCAR. I grew up watching it, of course, and everything. There's several options they can kind of work with here, depending on how long the rain does last and when it does start. And also, and I think one of the bigger factors is how much race they get done before the initial line of showers move on through. And once that initial line does move on through, if you got your family out there or if you plan on attending the race yourself, keep in mind that let's say the showers hit Daytona around 3, 4 o'clock, and then you're going to walk out to your car, and now you're getting on the road with thousands of other people hitting up on I-95 in the middle of shower and thunderstorms. It's going to be a bit of a mess there. And that's why we have that weather impact alert in place too, because there's going to be plenty of impacts here, not just outside of the race being delayed, but also where you're going to be traveling or anything like that. You're going to be seeing plenty of those showers there too. So now I think we'll probably wrap it up here. And I just want to remind you guys, we have that weather impact alert in place for Sunday. We're going to continue to track it here at First Coast News. Of course, we're going to have several of us here on Sunday tracking these storms for you. I think straight line winds will be the big issue. Not so much tornadoes, but something we're going to watch out for as well. So make sure you have that First Coast News app handy. Make sure that you tune in on Good Morning Jacksonville Sunday, because I'll have the latest information between it's a 3-hour show. So between 7 a.m. and 10 a.m., we'll have that weather forecast there for you on First Coast News here and also on First Coast News Plus. So thanks for watching. I hope you're having a great Valentine's Day with your special someone out here. I know that it's a bit cooler than it was yesterday. It's a bit brisk, but hopefully you have somebody there to keep you company. I'm meteorologist Robert Spetta. Thanks for watching this update. We're also going to be having a live stream. We have a live stream at 4, right, Nick? Nick is our producer behind the scenes. I'm not just screaming to a person in the ether. So we have another live stream with our chief meteorologist, Tim Deegan. Appreciate your time with him. He's going to be retiring here in just a few short months after 40 years here at First Coast News. So make sure you watch our live stream at 4 o'clock. And you can even chime in what questions you want to ask our chief meteorologist about our weekend forecast as well directly here on our social media platforms. So thanks again for watching. I'm meteorologist Robert Spetta, and we'll see you at 4.